probably haven't had these quite as often as we should, but we thought we should definitely try to fit one in given what's happening in T-minus 25 days today, which is the go live of the new Burwood site. And for those of you who haven't been involved in the design of the Burwood site, and many have, that site brings together what we've currently got at Burwood, which is a general X-ray facility. It brings together what we've got in a Mirabelle in the Canterbury Community Radiology, which has got CT, MR, ultrasound, bone densitometry and X-ray, and puts it all together in a much bigger site and adds a screening unit, a fluoroscopy machine in there as well, and some areas for radiologists to sit too, so quite a big department. And as part of that, obviously, we are also going to see the coming together of the people who are currently on the Burwood site, so big orthopaedic footprint, the brain injuries and spinal injuries, combined with the older person's health teams that are moving across from the Princess Margaret site, big new outpatient facility that has been in the newspaper recently. So some folk have had the privilege of getting over there to have a look at the site, and it would be fair to say it's a very busy site as they try to finish it off basically in time to deliver to the DHB. So this morning's a potpourri of some of the facilities related stuff, and then not everybody obviously is just related to Burwood, so we'll perhaps just stand up as it's your turn and tell us when to change the slide. So this is who we've got queued up for today. Is it Jason first, is it? Jason.
Okay.
You're on.
Greetings from the West Coast. So, here's our non-parky camper van. So, the thing about the West Coast is it doesn't do anything by half. So not only do we get lots of rain, we often get these short, high-energy wind events. And this guy parked up outside McDonald's, and that's what happened. So, anyway, next slide. So that's Grey Hospital. For those of you who've never seen it, that's quite a flattering photo of it. Was built in the late 60s, early 70s after the Anangaroo earthquake. So the Anangaroo earthquake caused widespread damage on the West Coast and actually flattened half the Buller Hospital, was sort of destroyed. So while they were building Grey Hospital, they were very mindful of that and decided to pour a chock full of steel and concrete to make it as rigid as humanly possible. Unfortunately, a lot of the concrete was also made with aggregate off the beach, so it's all full of sunk. So this building has lots of problems. It's had 3 earthquake assessments on it, all of which said run away fast. It's really bad. One of the buildings you can see there's actually empty because it is so bad that it was determined that you can't actually stay in it currently. The rest of it is still occupied. So if we go to the next slide. So here's an example of that building. That didn't have an earthquake to do that. That's just part of the concrete cancer that's in this building. It just spontaneously fell off. So that's the building that's empty. And the earthquake prone notice is actually stuck to the front of the radiology department, because the radiology department is the worst building in the hospital for non-earthquake compliance. So, but the whole building is, and we've got to basically find somewhere to go, because we can't stay in this building past 2020, because it would cost about 5 times as much to fix as to completely flatten it and start again. So, if we go to the next one. So that's the new hospital that we are building. So that's got $63 million of buy-in. And it's a much lighter weight building, much more compact. The current hospital is one of these buildings that's had additions and additions and additions, and they're all attached by corridors. So the DHB spends a fortune heating and cleaning and lighting a lot of corridors that don't really do a heck of a lot for healthcare. So this building much more compact and much more attractive, and grey, which is sort of convenient. So it's not only Grey Hospital, it's a grey hospital. Next slide. And that's a rather low resolution view of the front. So you can see there's an ambulance bay there behind the white car, and next to that is actually the radiology department in that building that sticks out, so where the mouse is showing you. Behind that's the ED department, so we're very close to each other. That was a relationship we currently have, and we were keen to maintain. The radiology and emergency work closely together. Their doctors provide a lot of support for us if we have any problems with contrast reactions or things like that, and a lot of our work comes through ED anyway. So the other part of the building that sticks out past which is Grey Base Hospital is the thing they call the IFHC, Integrated so that's going to house not only the outpatients department but every GP in town. It'll be right next door to this, which sort of makes us a bit scared as to what they're going to want us to do at short notice, but I'm sure we'll cope. So that's what we're looking at doing, and that was all due to kick off October last year, but unfortunately, because it's quite a political process, it hasn't really met that target. And if we go to the next slide, you can see how much building work we've actually done. Oh no, sorry, that's the slide after that, but that's the interior of the building you can see. Yeah, so that's how much, so go to the next slide, honey. That's how much building work we've done. So this month it's due to kick off, but there's an announcement today which I've had to miss because I'm here, so I'm not sure what the update is actually going to be, but hopefully it's the bulldozers are coming tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. So just go to that previous slide, we can have a look at the interior of the new hospital, which is all, no, that's not, yeah, there we are. So you can see it's all very modern and attractive and light and airy, as opposed to the current building, which is sort of 1970s grunge. We're really looking forward to it, because it would be nice to be in a building that, because the current problem with the hospital, apart from it being an earthquake nightmare, is that it was designed with a flat roof in Wellington by somebody who never visited the West Coast, and when it rains, the whole thing leaks like a sieve. In radiology, the whole ceiling is full of buckets, and when the water starts to come through the ceiling, the trades department come and empty all the buckets and put them back, and we're good for another month. So, and in fact, in theatre, there was a time when patients going to theatre had to have an umbrella up because so much water came through the ceiling. So you'd think in a place like the West Coast, they'd allow for heavy rainfall, but unfortunately that didn't happen. On this one, they tell us there is a suitably pitched roof that will make the water disappear, but we shall see. Anyway, that's me.
So, yes, it's 24 days to go, and yes, I am counting. I suppose the move in on the 30th of May will be the beginning, and our work won't stop there, but it's really, really exciting to think that we are going to be moving into this new expanded facility out there and offering the people of Canterbury more services and maybe a more direct route for them to be able to come and get their imaging. So these are hot off the camera from yesterday on what the place is looking like. This is front of house. Front of house is not opening until the 13th of June. That's when all the PMH wards would have start to move over to Burwood. And we're opening on the 30th of May, so we will still be using that back entrance into the department from the back car park until the 13th of June. In the main entrance there's going to be coffee shops and chemists and bits and pieces, and so it sounds food places and things, so it sounds like it's going to be a really lovely place to work. This is from the radiologist's reporting room. So you can see you've got a bit of a window and a view there.
Right.
Yeah.
Certainly dark.
We're going to put a curtain there, but if you do want to see daylight, it'll be there. This is the MRI construction of the MRI waiting bays. So I've got lots of nice space out there. It's quite a spacious department.
Just for other people who are watching by remote, that's top left image.
In the middle there is the staff station, which is next door to the bed bays, things like that, and that's the desk, and so I think that's starting to look really, really nice. The decor is quite neutral colours, so it's fitting in all well. On the far side there we've got room 1, the general room, with the table and looking in from the control bay, and then down the bottom that's CT still in build mode. Yeah. So that gives you a little bit of an idea on what it looks like on the inside. So this did go out in an email, sort of giving us ideas of what dates to expect when machines are going in and apps training's happening, when we get in on the 30th. And I suppose the big things are on Monday afternoon. We're going to be having some orientation and training for super users. So there's 10 staff that are going to be able to get out there and have a look inside the department and be trained on the emergency, fire, other bits and pieces, have a look around the department. And so they will be our super users and they will be training everybody else as they go out to the site once we're opened. Over there you can see that's Pete's roof and MRI. So the patients can lie on the bed and that's what they can look at. And that's pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah, it's come up really well. So really, I suppose it's a big thank you to everybody because we've all played a part in getting us out there. I think this is probably the biggest thing that most of us will be going through in our careers, our working lives. There's been a lot of planning. There's been re-rostering. There's been apps training. There's going to be apps training. And lots of things yet to happen, so just a really big thank you for everybody for being part of it. And I don't think anything could have prepared us quite for this, but I am more than confident that we are now prepared for moving into the ASB when that happens in a couple of years' time. Admin team?
Right, so basically this is one of our happier moments. It's taken up the Rakaia River.
Was that before Bernadette got beached?
Yeah, I think so. That was a good day. So basically, we've had a few new staff come on board this year. Beth at the front desk, Brock, who's in CT, and Linda, who has now got the role of receptionist over at Christchurch Women's. A lot of the time has been spent, a lot of my time has been spent probably on planning for the Burwood move and around getting letters and the maps and all that sort of stuff ready. We've continued our training across the team, and we're trying to get more and better cover in the appointments team. And why have I got on there there's a change of location for some of the team? I know, because they're going from CCR to Burwood. Right, so that's a big thing for a number of the staff, given that on day one they're going to be going into the place cold and they won't have even seen inside or even seen outside of it. So I guess that's something that affects all of us. We've had quite a big impact on what we've been able to do in the booking area with restrictions on the radiologists and machine breakdowns and things like that, which is quite difficult on the team trying to keep everything afloat. With the, I think it's fair to say the abuse that comes from some of the rest of the hospital when we're not scanning. Can I just say that I would like to really commend the Burwood and the Maryvale team for the attitude that they've displayed and going forward into the new building. There's a lot of changes in there. It's not just a premises change, it's a whole new way of doing things out there for both of those teams, and I think they've really taken it on the chin and they're going forward beautifully. So that's me. Well done.
On a lighter note, it won't take too much notice of the supplementary data down the bottom side, but I couldn't get that out. Sorry, Dave. So some of the big completed projects in the past few months are House Drive, that should be 360 upgrade, not 36, sorry, so because that's radiologists, it's only affected you guys. The full PACS upgrade, which has been a major task, months of planning and work. The major modules in that are the critical results, peer review and the analytics module. So they'll be all coming on board shortly. Warren's busy building the analytics server now. DICOM indexing has gone live. Ongoing projects with EOE and e-sign-off continues. E-triage is a big one for us as a department. The PowerScribe 360 move from Comrade to IntelliRad is imminent. Audio modules coming on board, which is a new module in Comrade. Teleconnect continues with the GPs and external use. POPIS is a new initiative that Rex has been running, a point of care ultrasound that we're working on with him and the rest of the hospital. Regional coding schedule is something that we're still working on with the TAG group, the technical advisory group that we liaise with the other 4 DHBs that are all part of the SIR group. Other happenings for us, we've resurrected very well the PACS Super User Forum, which we have on just an open forum, 12:15 till 1 on a Thursday lunchtime for anyone that can come along. It's been really, really good. Just a good opportunity for anyone to hear any issues that they've got and compare notes. Pete's been doing a great job sharing that for us, and he's done a lot of work on his dashboard, so he's been going out there and aligning everyone else's dashboards and being really, really proactive and getting everyone else on board with that. And of course, Jess will be off on maternity leave in September.
It's clear, right?
Hello, I just wanted to just emphasise today's actually the World Health Organisation International Day on Hand Hygiene. So I just thought I'd take this opportunity to just remind you of the 5 moments of hand hygiene, and just this here is just the report from the last local audit that was done here in radiology in October of last year, but Rona and I are planning to do some more audits over the next few weeks. So this might be quite difficult for you to see. This slide, and there's the next slide as well. You can see here that our compliance rate last year was not that great, and I must say this audit was actually done in IR, and the thing that skewed it was that there was, I mean, it's not pointing the finger, but there was a group of anaesthetists who came into who were in IR and were observed, and so that sort of skewed the results. But it's really, I mean, can anyone tell me the 5 moments of hand hygiene?
Turn the tap on.
Yeah, that's true. Can anyone say what you know? Like I'll give you a hint. It's sort of the first one is before touching a patient.
After.
One's after you touch.
After touching a patient. Yeah. Big one.
Surroundings.
No, it's surroundings. Yep. Well, it's before a procedure. Can anyone say that, Louise? And the 4th one is after a procedure. Who said that? Yeah. And the 5th one is that's it. Well done.
Those people can now all be stars in the videos that they're making with the. I don't know about that, do they?
No, so it's just really just a reminder, those 5 moments of hand hygiene. As I say, last year's this result wasn't that great, but it was a very small sample. But so the more audits we do, hopefully the compliance rate will come up. We're trying to hit 80% compliance with hand hygiene, and yeah, so it was really just to talk about that this morning. The second thing is I just wanted to just let you all know about the Clinical Audit Committee, which has restarted this year, which is just wonderful because we haven't met for 2 or 3 years. So again, it's just to encourage anyone who is thinking about doing an audit or sees an area that they think that could be improved on, to come to one of us if you need some support or some guidance on how to do it. I mean, there's Rex as the chairperson, there's me, there's Mirabelle, there's Diana. We're trying to get people from every modality on the team, and we've got 4 meetings. We've had 2 already. There's a third one I think in July, and then in September we're having a presentation sort of lunch where people who've done audits are going to be encouraged to present it to the department, which is sort of, I just think, really, really exciting. And so we sort of want really an audit from each area, don't we, Rex? So if you just want to talk amongst your colleagues to see if anyone would has got any ideas or would like to do something. And the third thing I just wanted to quickly mention was the IANS audit again, which is going to happen this year. There's going to be an accommodation assessment out at Burwood a few weeks after everybody moves in, and that's sort of a requirement just to make sure that the equipment and everything is meets the standard. And then there's going to be a full peer review audit in September. We haven't sort of worked out we haven't come up with a date yet, but it will be in September, and that's where it suggests that there'll be MRTs coming from other areas and radiologists and a full peer review audit, which only happens once every 4 years. That's me, really.
So just about the nursing in the department. As you know, Pip's no longer our nurse manager. She's moved on to the clinical manager of the department, so congratulations, Pip. That's great, good for the department. We have Olivia, who is our acting nurse manager at the moment, so she's been doing that since the beginning of the year, and she's doing a really good job in that, so we're very lucky to have her there. Excuse me. Currently we're in the process of employing 2 new nurses for the expanding services of radiology, so hopefully we're interviewing at the moment, and hopefully they'll be up and on board sort of by the end of the month, if not beginning of June, for Burwood, and to rotate through Christchurch as well. We have a new healthcare assistant, Caroline, who is doing a lot of the ordering and stock and things, so she's sort of taking Margaret's role. She's hit the floor running and done really, really well, so thank you for that. You'll see her around and about. At the moment she's just in the blue scrubs over there, but she'll get her uniform and stuff coming up, so it's great to have her on board. We've got e-meds and e-observations training for all the nurses, so that's happening through, that'll be going into Burwood and also coming through into Christchurch, so that's a big change for us. Infection control, there's a hand washing audit that's ongoing, so please remember to wash your hands. And the flu vaccination is continuing, so anyone who still needs their flu vac, Greta and Anka's more than happy to give you a jab if you go and see them.
Okay, nuclear medicine. So first of all, equipment. We're still waiting on our second spec CT camera, which will be a 16 slice, and that's basically going to be bundled up with a stage 1 upgrade. Meanwhile, spec CT is now standard of care for nuclear medicine, and it's used in most of our procedures, and so to work around that we are transferring patients from one camera to the other to accommodate it, and hope we have not got any backup when that goes down, so that could be an issue. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the new camera, 5 of us have enrolled in an Australian course, which is a CT certification, and it allows us to perform diagnostic CT on a hybrid camera. That is going to include 3 weeks of full-time working in CT towards the end of the year. We're very lucky, we've got one student, Ryan, who's started the University of Auckland course, and he's working part-time in nuclear med and part-time in CT. We're hoping to get another student because we've got a retirement at the end of the year, and they need to start in July because because of very low numbers in the course, they may not be running it after that for several years. Facilities, we are planning for our radiopharmacy upgrade. Our we're still waiting on our department to repair and upgrade, and we've been over the last 12 months working with the project team, and we now have a 2-stage plan. So stage 1 is going to be modifying the scanning room for the new camera, increasing our waiting room size, converting non-clinical spaces to a patient room and a stress myocardial room, and creating a disabled toilet. But really at the moment it's all just, we're waiting to go.
It's warm in here, isn't it? It's nice over there, guys. Quite a bit of change for general. One of them was the resignation of Therese, so I've just been appointed in a 5-month position. That's just to get us floating for a wee bit until we get Burwood live and a few other things sorted. We've had lots of new kit. We started off with getting 2 new portable machines for ICU and NICU. Then we complemented that with 2 suites for room 1 and 2. Same vendor, so it's been quite handy. We can just utilise the same pieces of kit and processing across the hospital really, nearly. We're about to implement 5 pieces into Burwood as well, so again, same vendor, quite handy. We've got lots of ongoing recruitment. The last 12 months we've had quite a bit as well. Far too many to name, unfortunately. Recently we've appointed 9 roles of varying lengths, job descriptions. So there's quite a bit of change with staff, some nice new faces, and giving people a little bit more employment than we sometimes can, which is great. Chatham Islands has come into the CDHB, so that's been a new wee venture. Rowena Pope has managed that. She inadvertently has kind of been given the rural portfolio, so she encompasses Chathams and Kaikoura, Hamner. We'll try and keep adding to that, won't we?
Not too much.
No, not too much. She's a very busy lady. EOE's also got introduced into ED. We're still waiting for them to go into orthopaedics, but that's helping us to streamline imaging and getting those forms through quickly. With the implementation of Burwood, we've also introduced a new roster draft. We're nearly ready for that to go live. That should tie in with the start of Burwood Hospital. So our poor radiographers have got a lot of change on their shoulders, so don't be afraid to give them a pat on the back and tell them that it's all going to be okay. They might need it every now and then. So Burwood, we've heard lots about Burwood, we've heard about it quite a bit. So the new roster will help support Burwood from our end as well. We're hopefully going to try and break down the walls of 2 separate hospitals and just have 1 imaging service, so we can support them with staffing if they need it, vice versa they can come across here. Burwood has merged CCR and the current old Burwood site, so there's a bit of change going around there as well. As I mentioned before, they've got 5 new rooms, so that's a little bit more than what they've had, but hopefully we can expand on their imaging. Kaikoura, they've also got a brand new hospital. CDHB's been quite busy. No. We managed to get some CR equipment that we didn't need here anymore, and we took that up. So finally they have a floating table and a bucky. They had some really historic equipment that they were trying to use, which was always quite challenging, but at least now they can get some decent images and easily enough. Yes, we've got a lovely team from Ashburton as well. I don't know if they want to say a few words. Margaret?
Okay. Since the last meeting, we've had an enhancement to our reporting service. Used to be just from 8:30 in the morning through to 6 from CRG, but now we go right through to 11 o'clock at night with CRG, and then overnight from London, which is the hospital patients. Our equipment stays the same as what we've had for a while, though we have had a relocated ultrasound unit from Christchurch Women's arrived. The other major thing of note is that the hospital is getting a new acute admitting unit in operating theatre suite being built right outside our corridor. So it would be great to have the support from the doctors so close.
Perfect. Got a couple of photos just to show very quickly. This is one of our new DR suites. So you've got traversing back in the background, and I did get our tallest employee to crouch down. I was aware of that. But let me just show you roughly. And the second one is of our new portal machine, or one of them. And that is general in a nutshell.
So here, but I'm going to have a crack. IR has nothing to do with Burwood. We are going to stay here only. We like our little end of the corridor that we tuck down away in. But we do have a new bike lane that was installed at the end of last year, and Callum came from Siemens in December and trained up 3 of our radiographers, and then since then they've been trying to obviously teach the rest of us MRTs. It's been a little bit challenging the way that our roster works, so hopefully with the new roster that'll help a wee bit. And completely from the point of view of everything that we've ever thought and known is almost backwards. So Sasha's written up here, it's like a plane versus helicopter. So the IR radiologists have been really good and been very patient with us, which is really nice. You don't have that stress on you. The department is always expanding, we're always doing more work, so there's a need for a permanent MIT to go in to there Monday to Friday, so that's going to be interviewed for on Friday. And then we are also getting an RA, so we currently have an RA from 7:30 until 12:30, but it means that the afternoon's very tricky and the MRT always answers the phone, so that can be a little bit hard. We have a new fellow as well as a new consultant coming in the second half of the year. One's American, one's English.
Yeah,
Couldn't tell you which is which.
Nick is the fellow from
English. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're yet to meet them. And also there's just a new tender going out for the new hybrid theatre for the ASB building. So that's all up in the air, but we're certainly, Sasha is digging her heels in to get what she wants, which is interesting. Next slide, I don't even know what else. Oh, here we go, yeah. So we're doing some new procedures. There's been 2 patients in the stroke pathway that have had positive outcomes. There's been certainly murmurs of heaps more around. I think Jodie got called back for a potential one on Tuesday, but never eventuated. So it is certainly developing. We're always modifying and adapting. So tunnel PICS is a new service rather than the patient having a Hickman line. The nurses are now doing these procedures, which takes a load off the IRAs, and it means that they get to advance as well. And then we've got vertebroplasties as well, and obviously the new stroke pathway. The next 2 procedures are Martin's sort of lead. So the prostate tumour embolizations and gastric artery embolizations. We spoke about this months ago, potentially even nearly a year ago, but they are taking their time. So we hope to start that ASAP, but Martin and Sasha are involved in all of that. And Rona, yeah, she's part of the research committee. Do we have any pictures? What's that? Oh, yeah. So that's a radiographer on the table, but not that's Jill. But that's how the biplane would be set up if we were doing neuro. It's really awesome for neuro. It has its limitations with some other vascular procedures, but we're just working around those at the moment.
There's lots.
Yeah. Oh, there's a few more pictures. Oh, that's what Sasha works for.
Looks easy to crash.
It is very easy to crash, so that's what the radiographer would look at when they're doing the post-processing, looking out into the room. So as you can see, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of screens to watch, but as long as you've got your right run at the right time, everyone seems to be okay. And I think that's it.
Right, I might come up this way and lean. Let's get this way. Okay. I'll start with the staff changes. It's a very exciting time for the CT team as well, because obviously we're going to be hugely involved in moving to Burwood. Scary, and there's been lots of staff changes with recruitment. So, notably, Michelle Barnett and Tamara Milnes started in July last year. Tamara shares a role with one of our part-timers, Steph O'Connell, so she flicks between general roster and CT. On the staffy front, we have had Ben Clements and Ruben Whitterman join our staff training pool. And our new clinical lead radiologist is Joel Dunn. Very happy to be working with him. Okay, and we've got some really sad goodbyes. Most notably, my 2IC, Dennis Healy, who has worked in the unit for 16, 18 years. So we are going to miss him hugely, and his last day is Friday next week, 13th of May. We're going to be doing a morning tea on Thursday, and there's going to be drinks at the Volstead on Friday after work. And also just last week, Victoria Giles, who's one of our staff pool, is leaving for adventures overseas for 1 to 2 years. So next slide, this is our, one more appointment. I should say that Brooke Swart has joined our admin appointments as our CT outpatients booking clerk, which Helen mentioned earlier, but she is a huge part of the team, so we welcome her. So this is our site at Merivale, and this is the Toshiba Quillian, which is the same unit that Jason has over at Grey Hospital. So we will be having our last session over there on Thursday afternoon, the 19th of May, and we will be going live at Burwood with APS training and really straight into it. As Helen said, with her admin staff, pretty much sight unseen for a lot of our staff. So it's going to be a really exciting and interesting day on Monday the 30th. So this machine was bought. It's got one of its most notable features is its CMA software, which is metal artefact reduction software, and that was applicable for the site at Burwood because of the huge orthopaedic caseload which will go out there. But really exciting for the patients as well, because we will be able to cater for those that live geographically closer to that site. So we're going to miss Burwood. I purposely incorporated McDonald's here because some of us will miss that and others will miss the shoe shop that I couldn't capture in the image on the other side. Next slide, please. So this is our Burwood site, and this is looking from the photograph I stole from the corridor at the main entrance, and radiology sits off to the right hand side. So for the CT team, like a lot of the others, it's meant change in rosters. We will be doing call from Burwood. We will be having APS training, and we have got 20 staff to train. We've got 12 seniors and 8 staffies. Currently our pool of staffies is needing 2 more, and so we're in the process of recruitment as well. So we had an FTE that went with the new roster at Burwood, and that staff member will be starting on Monday. His name is Paul. Muthan is how you pronounce it. He is coming to join us from Sydney. We are in the process of ongoing recruitment, obviously for Dennis's vacancy, and we have the staff positions as well. Our biggest change in protocol this year has been stroke pathway, and we have a system with ED that we're alerted via a pager when a patient is on the way into hospital, and the aim is to get those patients up to CT as fast as possible. So they're assessed by a neuro registrar when they hit ED, and so as Tylee referred to earlier, sometimes we are told of this pathway, but often the exclusion criteria apply, and it ends up being something less than what we expect. But that's been exciting, and the post-processing software that goes with that, with the colour maps, are really amazing and hugely alter these patients' outcomes. So it's been really exciting to be involved in that part for all of the team. So we are moving onward and upward, and very much looking forward to the next phase of CT's role in the department manager. Thank you. That's me.
Look, I'm very, very pleased and proud of the work that the guys are doing in the department. Some very high quality stuff going through. We're a relatively junior department at the moment. We've got 4 students and we're sort of working towards the future. So please be aware our students getting a little bit close to exams, so they're getting a bit anxious, but they're doing fantastic. As we build the new department, we've got 2 new qualifiers, which is Josie and Jacinta, and they're doing fantastic work. So we're very, very proud of the way the new staff are stepping up. We're looking forward to Burwood. Burwood's nice and simple. Sharon loves us going to Burwood. We just have to plug a machine in and turn a dimmer switch. That's all I ask for. So it's nice and simple for us. So as long as they work, we're going to be very happy with that. So Burwood will be exciting for us. We have 2 ultrasound rooms there, so we have 2 qualifiers there all the time and a student. So a great training base as well. And we're looking to pick up a lot of the work that we haven't been doing at CCR around the Burwood campus. We're still waiting to see exactly what the work's going to be like when it comes to PMH as well. Our wait list is still a little bit problematic, and we're working hard around solutions towards that, and that's combined with the good work that the bookings clerks are doing and the support we're getting from Helen and Helene and stuff, and looking at the figures around all this. So we have a sort of a goal with EDA to have no waiting list, which is a lofty goal. I've sort of put my head out there. I might have to spend a few nights here to sort that out without Sharon knowing, but I'm sure we'll get there. But ultrasound is doing well. We pop around in the background of a lot of the exciting stuff in this department, all the glossier stuff, but the guys are doing a great job.
MRI.
The National Need of Fresh Air. This is only one slide. Right. So firstly, just a big thank you to my guys for embracing the merit scheme and involving our roles. So they're picking up extra things to help, because we've had to adapt as we're under a bit of pressure. And also after hours, thank you everyone else that helps us with slides and everything like that. It is appreciated. So our demand, does anyone know what do you think this is? This is our 4-week wait list. This is our 4-week non-contrast wait list, not including clinics. So times this by 3. These take 40 minutes each. Wow. So what's this? This is what we add to this pile every week. So we're not really making a dent. So our 4-week list on average, they take 13 weeks or longer. So the demand is huge, which is what it is. So what are we doing about that? We've got Burwood starting. Unfortunately, that's not going to really help our demand, because we're going to be taking over things like PMH and things like that happen with CRG. So that's unfortunately going to keep growing, possibly. So what are we doing about that? We've got the new scanner that's coming in, as you see, over the vascular ultrasound. So we're still working on a few things, but we're hoping that will be running by October-ish. It's quite hard putting something on the site around here at the moment. And we've also got a bit of our business case going on. When Burwood opens, what happens to our Mirabel scanner? We might trade it in. What we're trying to do is send that over to Burwood as well. So we'll have 2 scanners out there. And hopefully we can start getting rid of this. That's what we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes on. Other things we have a big problem in is still sedation. It's a huge problem. Okay, so we're struggling to comply with hospital policies. Every time someone needs a sedation, we need a nurse to come down, everything like that. What we're also finding is people getting sedated on the ward without even telling us. We're doing consents. It's a huge drama. So we're trying to work around that with something in the plan with our merit document. But we're also doing some virtual reality. We've got some working with HitLab at the UC, and we're trying to experience where we have created a virtual reality world of MRI, and we're going to be able to detect who actually needs sedation. So only the people that actually need sedation will be getting sedation. So there's a watch out for all that VR stuff coming. And that's pretty much it.
Good morning. I just want to start off by saying a little experience I had yesterday. It's actually not to do with radiology, but I wanted to share my little story. I arrived at work yesterday morning and having a cup of tea and a gossip with the supervisors downstairs, and a man came to the door in a very quiet voice, and he said, "Need help?" And I looked at him and said, "Sorry, I can't help, I can't hear you." And he goes, "Need help, wife giving birth." Right at the main entrance outside. So with the help of some lodge orderlies and the supervisors, we got mother and baby there very safely, but it's experience I'll never forget. The team's been faced with some major hurdles over the last year, but we've got through it and we've moved forward and all positive for that. There's only, I thought there was two, but there's only three X-ray orderlies that are to go to get there to be qualified on the NZQA. As previously said, the orderly module is due for release in the near future. And yeah, still in the department, the average of number of our jobs per week is like 950, 960. So it's up there. I think on Tuesday we did 210 jobs. Excuse me. Which was up there. So for us, but we're still aiming to get over our 1,000. We get our treat from our manager. But I'm always encouraging the guys to be helpful and obliging in the department. So I hope they meet your needs. But if you need anything, they're always there to help. So yeah, thank you.
So the radiologists, we're running on 25 to 26 FTE and we need 32 to do the work that we do. So hugely grateful to all of the radiologists who have been working extra sessions basically most of the time to help keep things ticking over, including the people who work extra sessions on top of the extra sessions sort of secretly and on the sly for Pete and Rex as they line up their extra scanning sessions too, because without people doing that we would be in even more of a pickle than we are now. We have had a few subtractions since we last spoke. Alana has budded for the second time and is off on maternity leave, but I think it'd be fair to say she's looking forward to coming back and picking up the audit committee hat again. She very much enjoys that. We've got Jude Gregan, who trained here, off doing a neuroradiology fellowship in Melbourne and due back January next year. We've had Dominic Blunt with us for 6 months and sadly he left the end of last week and went back. We tried to take his passport, woo him, couldn't get him to stay, but we've invited him back, much shorter turnaround. He was 17 years between visits. And Frisk Colbert is still here at the moment, but she's heading off in July, for those of you who don't know, to do a year of chest radiology fellowship in Vancouver, where a few of us have gone before. We have had some additions. We've got Colin Chong on board, who's a musculoskeletal radiologist who does the minimally invasive palliative procedures. Will Howard's joined us from the UK. He's a chest radiologist. Justin, homegrown special, is currently at Memorial Sloan Kettering, due back in August, part-time with the body oncology. Nick Butterfield's name already come up. He's from the UK. He's actually one of Joel's contemporaries, but he's coming out here to do the IR fellowship. We've got a really neat US body radiologist called Ben Bamford, who's due out here in September. David Butteris, a neuroradiologist in the UK, in October, and Andrew McLaughlin, a paed radiologist who trained in Auckland, is currently in the Scotland actually, Glasgow, coming up in January. So there is some hope. We just need a few more homegrowns to come back, and maybe a few more out of the cloning machine as well. For us, the Burwood site's obviously a big expansion of services. It takes in what's currently going on at CCR and pulls the other person's health across. We're not really in a position to do it on our own, so we are working in collaboration with CRG to provide that cover. They currently support our Mirabel site, and they also have for many years supported the Kashmir Radiology site, which is based at the Princess Margaret Hospital. That's a historical legacy for those of you old enough to remember of HealthLink South versus Canterbury Health Limited. The Burwood site, we have 4 reporting rooms, and clearly one of them's got a window, so that'll be interesting who can get in there first thing in the morning. It brings 5 clinical meetings per week onto that site. The spinal unit meetings there currently, but we gain a few more. And the way we're going to staff it is with a mix of some CDHB radiologists being across there, but predominantly it will be CRG helping us out with 10 to 15 sessions a week to that site. A bit of a mix in how that's going to work, but ultimately it will be covering the supervision requirements and also providing us with an opportunity to get the registrars some experience out there. It's going to have an MSK flavour to it, so hopefully some of the MSK ultrasound and procedural work that currently struggles for showtime on this site just because of all the competing demands can get done out there, which is actually where all the patients originate from. They're from the Burwood Ortho clinics that go on out there. So it's actually taking that work and putting it back where it really belongs. And then we're in the process also of sorting out how to support the on-call service, which is likely to be very similar to the Ashburton model, which works well. And that's kind of us. We've got 3 new registrars on board as well. Pretty much the radiologists in a nutshell, really. In terms of, there's a big picture slide in here, but you're obviously all aware there's a huge amount of facilities related work going on in our rural remote sites and also on our main sites here in Christchurch, and a huge thanks, as Pipsy, to everybody who's been involved. It's probably one of the biggest time thieves I've ever come across, is all this facilities work. It's just hours and hours of time going through the detail, trying to get it right so we get what we need by way of facilities out the other side of it. Ultimately, what we want to see over time is that we are working all of our facilities as a coordinated whole, and our coordinated whole actually includes West Coast and Ashburton, and actually includes South Cairn and Nelson Marlborough too, depending on where the patients come from. We're actually working together as radiology services to try and get them imaged either at the best matched local site for them, or if they come from one of those other DHBs of domicile, where we can, getting them back to there for their imaging so they're not trailing up and down to Christchurch. We've got quite a consistent increase in demand going on across our services, which is driving some of our expansion. It's going to challenge us, I think, in the future in terms of how we deliver our services. And we're increasingly looking at it's not just business hours Monday to Friday, it's a 24/7 operation that we're running into. And we've also all got the challenge going forward of how we get to paperless. Closed loop processes is referring to how we make sure the reports that we put out that are abnormal are seen by someone and acted on by someone. And there's some new tools that we can use to try and ensure that happens. And for all of us, we've got to keep focusing on how we optimise our workflows and how we keep everything safe and deliver a high quality service. And we've already talked to Rowena and her role as a rural and remote MRT, but it's more than just her that are supporting our rural and remote sites, basically helping everybody to deliver a really good quality safe service everywhere and supporting people to do that. So that's probably it really, unless there's another slide. We can all go to work. Any questions? No? Keep calm, carry on.
Onwards.